sales rep might be a tremendous salesperson, they'll have a phenomenal week, and then the next week, where do they go? And that's, again, that has to do with your goals and your goal setting. So, all of these are taught in the fundamentals. These are all fundamentals. Momentum's a fundamental, goal setting's a fundamental. And, they're fundamental to you becoming great in an industry that has the potential for you to make a lot of money.
What's up, everybody? This is Sam Taggart with the D2D Podcast, and I am here with an awesome guest and one of the keynote speakers in Door-to-Door Can, coming up here September 27th and 28th, our first ever. And what's really cool, so Tim quit school at 16 to sell Filter Queen vacuum cleaners. By the age of 17, he topped monthly sales out of thousands of representatives. He went on to spend 9 years as a high-performing door-to-door salesperson. Now, guys, this is not as of the last few years. This is a few decades ago. So in the 70s, 80s, one of the OG Canadian, just baddies in our space. Earned his final year's ninth year, he earned over 600 grand, which was now equivalent to 2 million in today's actually dollars. And over the course of his career, he founded and co-founded more than 25 door-to-door and B2B sales companies, many of them record-setting. He co-founded and helped and built the sales system for energy savings group, now called Just Energy. He grew to sell up to $4 billion per year, making it one of the most successful door-to-door sales companies in history. Tim is also the author of Sales Superstar. So you guys can find that at salessuperstar.com, the world's number one free sales training program used by companies across the globe. Today he serves as CEO and executive chairman of 5 companies, primarily B2B, all of which incorporate the Sales Superstar system. So it's fun to see an OG Sales Superstar trainer helping hundreds of thousands of door-to-door salespeople over the last few decades, which is unbelievable. And he's a Canadian local. And so we said, why not bring him to Door-to-Door Can and be honored to see his presence? And so if you're missing the Canadian one, January 23rd and 24th is in Utah every year. We're going on our 9th year. Make sure to go get your tickets, your team tickets. Early bird specials are happening right now. And if you're like, cool, Door-to-Door Con's not for me, then hopefully you just freaking enjoy this podcast and get some value out of this. So Tim, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks, Sam. I'm happy to be here. Door-to-door, was my life for 9 years on the road in Canada, the US, the UK, and then with companies in all those countries and a few others. And, it's still I'd say, the toughest times I had when I was learning door-to-door sales. It was hard, but once I learned the fundamentals at a fairly high level, after maybe 2 years of mostly good results, but some results that made me, wonder if I was in the right place. I'm sure we've all had those thoughts as door-to-door salespeople. But my last 7 years, my income progressed at an average rate of about 40% per year, actually from the beginning, about 40% per year for all 9 years. And it was really the incorporation of the fundamentals that I teach on salessuperstar.com that I kept getting better at over time. So for me, I then started a door-to-door sales company, and then over time, another 25 or so door-to-door and B2B sales companies. Some of them didn't do great. Some did great. A couple of them did absolutely phenomenally. And through those companies, I've trained, and I count, not myself personally, but people in the organization, because we had offices across Canada, the US, the UK, even into Japan and Germany. We trained way over 100,000 door-to-door salespeople, and some turned into absolute superstars. Lots gave up after 3 days. Some were mediocre, Some were better than mediocre. You know, the thing is that I have a huge database of knowledge on what makes door-to-door salespeople or B2B salespeople successful and not successful. And I think that that's what any of the listeners probably want to hear. And, you know, I'm happy to teach that, because door-to-door sales, the reason I put out the website for free after I put it out, I thought about making it a for business website, but I said, listen, door-to-door sales has done so much for me. I'm just putting it out there. And it's a great industry. You know, some people say, well, that's so hard. Do people let you in? You know what, Sam, you know the answer. I've seen some of your videos. I've seen you live getting indoors, and, you know, all the top people all use the same techniques. Okay. You know, might call them something different, but they're all the same techniques. And ultimately, if you're good at door-to-door sales, you'll get in 8 or 9 out of 10 doors. You know, that's just, it's not that tough. And I've trained people in a couple hours, you know, taking them out with me on how to get into doors. And realistically, it's not that hard. And, you know, once you get in, closing a deal is obviously a little bit harder. And that's why you've got to use the fundamentals. And one I was talking about today with one of my businesses is the fundamental of momentum. Once you've got momentum and you've made sales, that's the best time to make more sales. And, you know, a lot of salespeople to make a deal, oh, great, I got a deal. I can ease off the gas. I got a deal, I made some money. I'm going to go to the bar. I'm going to go for lunch. These things kill momentum. You know, until you've made a sale or even booked a lead, booking a lead gives you momentum. It also is a good form of spiking dopamine, better than checking to see if you got more followers. Okay. That's a negative form of dopamine boost, as is overuse of drugs or alcohol. But a positive way to boost your dopamine, book a lead, close a sale. Your body now has natural momentum. That's the time to get in front of another customer right away. Force yourself. You want to take a break? Force yourself in front of another customer, and force yourself again and again and again. And each time you gain more and more momentum, and it becomes easier and easier. Everything you touch turns to sold. You know, that is the key is one of the keys is using that momentum, which I've seen a lot of door-to-door salespeople get a deal. Maybe they'll get a second one. Hey, they've checked out. It's quitting time. Okay. When they could get 2 or 3 more, you could turn a good day into a great day or a phenomenal day. And then you could do it back to back to back to back to back. And I'll see the same thing. Sales rep might be a tremendous salesperson. They'll have a phenomenal week. And then the next week, where'd they go? You know, and that's, again, that has to do with your goals and your goal setting. So, you know, all of these are taught in the fundamentals. These are all fundamentals. Momentum's a fundamental, goal setting's a fundamental. And, you know, they're fundamental to you becoming great in an industry that has the potential for you to make a lot of money.
Love that. So let's reverse this a little bit. There's sales superstars. I guess the opposite of a sales superstar would be like crappy sales rep. I don't know. But what's the difference? Like, why do some people go on to do this for 5-10 years, kill it, and why some people only last 3 days?
I mean, again, multiple reasons. You know, someone asked me, you know, one of my current businesses, you know, we sell commercial energy in some states in the US. And one of our suppliers brought his team up to our office because we're rather new to them. And we were crushing it. And he came up and he's their VP sales for North America, large company, large energy company, the largest renewable energy generator in the world. And he says, Tim, you know, I've been the VP sales for this company and other companies for 20 years. He says, what is the biggest differentiator between great and not great? And the number one thing by far is your ability to prospect and work all day long, like a real job. You've probably heard of Zig Ziglar before. I've listened to Zig Ziglar's audio for over 1,000 hours, Tony Robbins for over 1,000 hours. A lot of the top motivational speakers, I spent a lot of time listening to them over and over and over. Sometimes it's the same material over and over. But Zig used to sell cookware, and he was a good cookware salesman, but he wasn't doing that great. And he went to an event, and his regional boss said, "Zig, I can see in you, you could be great." He says, "You need to treat the job like a job, though. You can't write a few deals and then take off." He says, "If you work it like a true blue collar job, meaning you put in the hours and you prospect in between your appointments 8 hours a day, and 8 hours a day in selling is a long day, as you know. Zig also says that selling all day long takes more energy and burns more energy than a construction worker does. If you're sitting there pitching all day long, you're tired at the end of the day. It's one of the reasons that I committed to a health program early on in my sales career: exercise, eating right, supplementation, sleeping, motivational material. You got to keep your energy level up. You don't want to write a couple of deals, have an afternoon lag, and not be good in your afternoon presentations if you're doing morning presentations. Or if you start in the afternoon, you're working mostly residential, then you want to have your energy till 9 o'clock at night. At least sometimes you get in a house at 9, you're out not out until 11. So you want to have your energy. Depends on what you're selling. But the key thing is the ability to prospect for your whole day in between your appointments. So your funnel is full. So you're always able to get on 3, 4, 5, 6 presentations a day or more. Depends on what you're selling, how long the pitch is. I've sold products where the pitch is 1 to 3 hours, and I've sold products, where the pitch is 5 to 10 minutes. So depending on the length of presentation, doesn't really matter. In between your appointments, either you, or if you've got canvassers or telemarketers working for you, which quite often in my career, I hired my own canvassers or telemarketers, and I would knock myself and have them booking leads for me too, because I want to be in front of customers all day long. And the key is prospect all day long. In my current company, it's B2B, and we provide some leads through telemarketing once the rep proves themselves. The ones that hit the highest numbers, and I'm saying 5 or 6 times higher, not a little bit higher, okay, but way higher, are the ones that are prospecting in between and have zero downtime. The ones that back off, have a long lunch, okay, I'm waiting for my leads, I'm waiting to see what's going to happen. That's mediocrity. Okay, that's not a high-performing salesperson. A high-performing salesperson is active for their full day, whether it's 8 hours, or sometimes you go on a breakthrough week where you're going in, putting in 10, 12 hours. Listen, my first 2 years at Filter Queen Vacuum, I was at the office. I had to be there every morning at 9, and my last call was at 8:30 at night. Quite often I'd be in there till 11 at night, but let's say the average was 9 till 10, 11 hours. What's that? 13 hours, 5 days a week, and another 7 hours on Saturday, 72 hours a week for 2 years. That's burnout. You're going to burn out. But putting in a 9 till 9, week, once every 6 weeks as a breakthrough week is a good idea. You don't want to do it every week. You're going to burn out. You need to rest and recover. But ultimately, it's the work habits. It simply comes down to work habits. I mean, who's the best salesperson? Is it the salesperson that closes in the week 5 out of 5, or the salesperson that closes 10 out of 20? Assuming you're getting paid the same amount per deal. Which one's the best salesperson? Well, the one that makes the most money, right? The one that gets the bigger paycheck. You could close 50% in 10 deals or 100% in 5. The one that closed at 50, hey, their pitch might not be as good, but they're making more money. And that's the name of the game.
Love that. So true. There's no substitute. Like, I think people try to take the door-to-door out of door-to-door. You know what I mean? It's like, hold on. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, let's not forget, if you don't have something on your calendar, it's not like sit and wait job. You know what I mean?
No, it's an action job. It's not a thinking job. You're going to sit and think about where the next lead's going to come.
Yeah.
No.
Phone call. My phone will ring. It's like, nope, that's not the job you're in. Maybe you had a magic funnel. That's not the job you're in. And I think too many people don't see it that way.
Mark your calendars and grab your tickets because we are back on January 22nd through the 24th, 2026 in Salt Lake City, Utah. 3 days where industry legends, top CEOs, and breakthrough innovators gather to share the strategies shaping our industry. Witness the prestigious Golden Door Awards honoring the elite performers who've achieved what others only dream of. Network with over 2,800 door-to-door professionals across all industries ranging from solar, roofing, fiber, alarms, pest control, HVAC, and beyond. Founded by Sam Taggart, this is where careers are transformed and million-dollar connections are made. Visit D2DCon.com, click the D2DCon 9 button at the top right, and secure your spot at the most important event in direct sales. Use promo code podcast to receive a 20% discount on your ticket purchase. That's D2DCon.com, promo code podcast. Now, back to the show.
So you've obviously been able to train people. There's fundamentals, which you've talked a little bit about the work ethic fundamental, the momentum fundamental. What are some of your sales fundamentals that you found, the frameworks or the sales techniques that win and make better salespeople quicker?
So Sam, there's on Sales Superstar, again, it's free, salessuperstar.com. And there's 7 fundamentals to a perfect presentation. Some people might call them different things than what I call them, but we'll go through them. Okay, number 1, body language, energy level, transference of feeling. Okay, and that's where your energy coming across to the customer is so important. And that's where things like morning exercise, eating healthy, not eating a big lunch to make you tired in between, you've got to, and having a positive attitude, because 50% of your energy comes from your body and 50% of it comes from your mental and emotional state. Getting yourself in the right state, listening to audio in the morning before you actually hit a door, and when you're having a shower, getting out of the shower, getting ready, have some audio on, get your mind going, set your mind to the fact that you're going to be successful that day. You're going to write, your 3 deals or 5 deals or whatever your industry, high end, top end is for the day. Have that in your mind at the beginning of the day. Do the physical things. The year that I started exercising before work was like 4 years in. I trained a guy that owned his own gym, and I played sports in school, but when I started knocking on doors, all the other sales guys were, smoking cigarettes, drinking coffee, eating at Burger King, drinking scotch. And so I was 16 and I was, I joined the club. But when I met Mike and he suggested we go for a run before work, it was like, whoa, okay. So I like to run. I used to be on the track team. So we went for a run and I came back, 2-mile run. We were staying at his wife's parents' farm, and we ran down to the stop sign, the proverbial, country mile, came back. I wanted to throw up. I didn't quite throw up. So I hadn't exercised in earnest in 4 years. And it's like, wow, my eyes started to glow. Okay. And my skin looked better and the endorphins kicked in. And then the next day we were weightlifting and playing tennis. And it was like, wow. And my income went up 100% that year. My sales doubled. Okay. Body language, energy level, number 1. Number 2, rapport, meaning the ability to get along with the client, let them speak, learn about them, learn about their family, learn about, you're really building the emotional bank account with the client when you're going through the rapport phase. That should happen early on in the presentation. Pick things like, if you're at their house, talk about their family, talk about their garden, talk about their car, whatever. You can talk about travel or the weather. The weather's the age-old one. I mean, some rapport is better than no rapport. You got to have rapport, and that continues to build throughout the presentation. It's harder to say no to someone that you like than someone that you dislike. So rapport is very important. Third is the use of third party. Now, the use of third party, what I used to do when I went to the door is I'd work didn't matter if I worked a small town or if I worked a city. I would have the contracts of the neighbors, and I would say, hey, we were just at, and I'd start reading off the names of all the neighbors right at the door. By the time I'd hit 20 or 30 neighbors, it's like, come on in. Basically, they're saying, sold. As long as you do a proper presentation, I'm a buyer too. power of third party, so important to be able to refer to other persons, other businesses, any news on what you're doing. Right now we're in the energy business and there's so much news about electricity prices going up and all the AI demand, power demand. I mean, we have these articles front and center. You want to make sure you're using third party to build your credibility, okay? Because when you're selling someone, they know you're there to sell, okay? It's a fair deal. You're a seller, they're a potential buyer, and you need to build credibility fast. When I sold, my goal was to close on the spot. There was no going back in most of the things that I sold, especially for the first 7 or 8 years that I sold. And I even found for larger ticket items, it was almost the same. Okay, if you didn't get the deal on the spot, the odds of not getting it weren't good. So you've got to gain a lot of credibility. And if you can use all the neighbors and all the other businesses and all the other people that are going ahead with it, and Sam, I saw you in your video referring to the neighbor across the road. Now you said your pitch would be different if you had the neighbor across the road. Well, of course, you'd incorporate more third party. So, you might call it something different, but I call it third party. And fourth is gaining control. You want to be engaging in your presentation, so you gain control of the presentation. This can not be done through force, although I have heard of an Electrolux vacuum cleaner salesman that did pull out a gun to make a few sales. He eventually got arrested, but really your gaining control needs to be from the first 3 fundamentals, from your body language, from your rapport, and from your third party. Then you get into the create need part. And that is the fundamental number 5 called create need. Dig the hole and throw the rope. The deeper you dig the hole, the faster they grab the rope. So if you're selling solar, you're obviously saying, hey, electric prices are 15 cents a kilowatt hour now, but in California, they're already up to 57 cents a kilowatt hour. What are they going to be here with more AI data centers and we don't have as much power? The prices are going to go up to 57. So we better get the solar in now, because if we wait till then, the price is going to be 3 times as much. So you want to dig the more the problem, again, the easier the sale. Next is build value. You want to be able to build the value of your product or service way higher than the actual value. And the more you can build it up, again, the easier the close is going to be. And then fundamental 7 is assumption. You want to make sure when you ask for the order that it is an assumption ask. A standard assumption ask would be, to get you started on this program, I just need to see your social security number. And if, let's say you're doing a credit app, do you have it handy? And you break eye contact. Don't stare them down. Okay, that's a good assumption close. Another assumption close would be, we could get this job done either next week or the week after. We're going to be in the area both weeks, which would be easier for you. It could be an alternate close, would be an example of an assumption close. So that's the 7 fundamentals of a perfect presentation. And then the 5 fundamentals of earnings growth and personal growth. You named off 3, we named off 3: momentum, goal setting, work habits, responsibility, which means analyzing your pitches in your day and seeing what you did right or wrong, especially what you did wrong. If you're missing sales, you can't blame the customer. It's not the customer's fault. Okay, it never is. Now, even if it is, you're not going to learn anything by blaming the customer. You've got to analyze, what could I have done better? And then the last one is role modeling. And that means going out and watching or listening to someone that's doing better than you or as good as you if you're already a top person, and learning through watching someone else. And in my career, my biggest jumps, and I'll tell you honestly, I never wanted to acknowledge that I could learn from anyone else. I was a top performing door-to-door salespeople, and my ego was probably 4 times bigger than me. So, yeah, what can I learn off him? I can beat him. But every time I went out and watched someone, I learned so much. I kicked myself for not role modeling more and letting my ego get in the way as a young, upstart door-to-door salesperson. So those are the 7 of a perfect presentation, and those are the 5 of earnings growth and personal growth.
So I love that, by the way. And you modeled it out super nice. And guys, go check out salessuperstar.com, because there's a lot of this in there. And let's unpack this though and shift gears a little bit. So you built this, you became the #1 guy, you made tons of money. on top of your game, but obviously it sounded like you went through iterations over the couple decades that you ran companies, right? And to start 25 companies, it sounds like you had various campaigns from, vacuums to energy. What other things did you kind of pilot? Because obviously
water filters, home insulation, home improvements, home security systems, long distance, when long distance deregulated shortly after energy deregulating. That would be it. It would be vacuums, insulation, home improvements, water filters, energy, long distance, and home security.
So let's break this down, because there's a lot of turmoil in solar, for example, in Canada and in the US. And then there's turmoil in alarms where they have the DIY comes to the thing. And then all of a sudden there's turmoil in this thing and that thing, and new industries will come and go, right? And I'm not saying that anyone's going. I'm just saying you've obviously had to make some pivots. And with every one of those pivots probably came some frustration, some roller coasters of, losing a bunch of guys, having to restart, rebrand, you know what I mean? Talk to us through some of the change that you had to be willing to adapt through and what caused some of that change. You know what I mean? Why?
Sam, my very first company, my water filter company, Toronto Water Filters, and I had the same company in Montreal called Eau Pure Montreal. It was unfortunate because we were crushing it and our supplier kind of screwed us, and it's too long of a story for this podcast to get into, but ultimately through no fault of my own, we ended up going bankrupt. And it was honestly, success does not come to the person with the biggest punch. Okay. And that would be a good example of that would be the Foreman Ali fight, the bungle in the jungle. Okay. But the Rocky story, it's not how hard you can hit, it's how many hits you can take and get back up, to me, is a true door-to-door salesperson's mantra. And the key is we don't like losing. We don't like losing, do we, Sam? You don't like missing a sale, do you? I hate it when I miss a sale. Hate it.
I can sense through the in between the lines of your journey that you have had to be a true door-to-door salesman, even in entrepreneurship. Hence why I want to go deeper into that.
Yeah, well, I had to go back at the day my car was being towed out of my driveway. I paid no attention to it. I was in my wife's car out to the doors to raise more money to start my next company. It's I paid no attention to it at all. And I'll tell you that the older you get, obviously, the more it could hurt. But I've been screwed in business several times. For us, starting over again, we recruited over 100,000. We were doing Tony Robbins style meetings in 25 offices across North America every day for 45 minutes every day before the teams went out to work. We provided so much value add to our teams, to our knockers, okay, that they would follow us almost anywhere, because there's a bunch of things that go to making it successful. One is obviously, the ability to coach and train your people in a very, hardcore way. Okay. If the training and mentoring and coaching and role modeling training isn't good, you're not going to develop your people. And even if you do it perfectly, many aren't going to make it no matter what. Okay. That's just part of the game. Some can't take, not winning after 3 days or 7 days or a month or whatever it is. Okay. So that's just reality. Now, listen, I don't like it when I don't make a sale either. I'm not happy. Okay. I'm very competitive, but I still get back up, take responsibility. What did I do wrong? Go do it again. Okay. That takes a lot in itself. Okay. But you've got to be able to do that over and over again. And the better you get, the less no sales you get. Okay. So ultimately, the other key thing is the compensation. Compensation has to be, you've got to find the right perfect mark with compensation for your team and your levels of team, right? From your regional manager to your crew manager to your reps, and the right contests, compensation, upfront, if you have a residual commission, depends what product you're selling, and sometimes I find you could do everything right, but not have the compensation right. As soon as the compensation is right, everything clicks in and the momentum starts with the team. So, those components, again, the ability to hire, train, motivate, and compensate and add value. When I say the value add, the exercise and nutrition part that I became so obsessed with that I started one of the top online websites in the world called TrueStar.com. It got purchased, it's no longer there. It was based upon the 5 key areas of health: nutrition, exercise, vitamins, attitude, and sleep. That's why it's called the True Star of Health. I started that off as a sheet that I'd give all my reps that they'd hand in every day when they came into the meeting. What time did you go to bed? What did you eat? How many cigarettes did you smoke? How much booze did you drink? What audio or book are you listening to? And when we started coaching on health and wellness along with how to sell, I would say that the momentum actually grew faster by adding in the value add, on top of the sales training itself. Now, one thing that we do also for all of our team members, and I recommend this, is obviously they have Sales Superstar to listen to for free. And my chief sales officer that, by the way, I trained out of my car in Regina, Saskatchewan, actually small town Saskatchewan, in 1985. He's my chief sales officer now. And he still listens to Sales Superstar almost daily, especially Sales Management Superstar. But we also recommend many other audibles and books. And we always have our team, on books and Audible and learning, because the development of the team. And I think when you think about how I can enrich my team's life, that the enrichment of the life on top of the sales training and the compensation, is a value add that's worth a lot. And if somebody's saying, hey, I'm getting recruited, because we have a lot of people that come to our company to recruit people from us, okay? Because they sell a lot. And somebody's going to say, well, okay, I'm making 200 grand here, 500 grand here. I'm going to I can go make more there. Maybe they can. I mean, there's really, the sky's the limit for anyone in any business if they learn how to work it right. So I don't say that there's a limit, but then they think about, gee, I'm not going to have this value add. I'm not going to have the morning calls. Like in the mornings, we do a song every single morning, Sam. And the song is based around something to do with sales and our product. Okay, for example.
Yeah. Give me an example of a song.
Okay, I'll give you an example of a song. Okay, our main singer was on our company trip over to Morocco last week, and he stayed for an extra week. So I had he's a really good singer, okay, but he wasn't here today and he wasn't here Tuesdays. So we have other singers on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But basically, I had to step up and do this one. Okay, let's see here. Let me get this one for you.
A sales song or just a song?
No, tons of sales songs. We're going to do one at the show. Wayne's going to do one at the show. Yeah, a sales song. Here it is. You want to hear this one? You probably know this. You know the song Grease is the Word?
No.
Grease is the word is the word. It's got groove. It's got meaning. You know the song? No. Okay, it's a little before your time. Okay, it's a Frankie Valli song. It was a #1 song. It's from the Broadway play Jersey Boys. Okay, so here it is. I'm going to sell all day and sell all night. I'm going to write some deals and make it right. There ain't no danger we can go too far. We start believing that we can be what we are. Sales is the word. Okay, and then it goes through the whole thing. They think that sales is an easy game. What they don't understand, it's a mastery thing. I try my hardest every call or deal. We start the fight right now. We have to make it real. Sales is the word. It's got groove. It's got meaning. So we go through the whole thing. You can just Google Grease is the Word. It's a former #1 song. So we use so many of the songs. We use what's the name? Sweet Caroline.
Okay.
We do John's on the line because one of our speakers is John. Okay. One of our speakers is Jarek Robbins. Okay. Tony's son. So we got the song for him. Jarek Robbins, tweet, tweet. Jarek Robbins, tweet, tweet. He comes on the call one day a week, teaching us how to whatever the words are.
So
we do a song every morning. Everybody logs on Zoom and we do a song every morning.
So how did you enroll? Like, okay, I'm just gonna like chunk up for a second. A lot of times, like I actually did a 17-step dance for my sales process, and I invented this dance, and we would do it in our meetings. And then everybody's like, "How did you get like a 40-year-old dude that just started 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, and he gets on these meetings? He's like, this is weird, right? Like, because a lot of times you do these cultural things that are like tribal or ritual, or they create energy and increase." They increase confidence, they increase camaraderie, they increase energy, right? But a lot of times the leaders tend to have a struggle to actually get people to buy into something like that. So how do you get people to actually not be like, I'm gonna throw rocks at this, but actually adopt it as they come
Nobody
over?
has to sing. Nobody has to sing. Only Wayne, who's in Morocco still until Monday. Okay, that'll be singing for D2D Can. Okay. He'll be sending a Zoom, a recorded song on, actually, this is a good one because I assume you probably know the Bruce Springsteen song, Born to Run. Okay. Yeah. So we've turned it into, I'm out on the streets, walking around door to door. Okay. Baby, we were born to sell. So we got, that's our main one, baby, we were born to sell. So, or we will sell you, but nobody has to sing, so we don't put anyone on the spot. Wayne or Brendan, or I'll fill in the odd time if nobody else singer is there. We've got a girl that'll sing sometimes, so nobody's put on the spot and has to sing. Okay, so they just log on, they get a song, and then we get into our 15-20 minute meeting every morning for the whole team, and then they hit the road. So we don't force anyone else to do it. Although I have had a sales manager before that basically forced people to do stuff. And it was either, okay, they're going to do it and, break through some barriers, because he was basically using, Tony's break the board theory, that if you can break through, you can have a breakthrough. You can break through in one area in your life, you can break through in anything. And he was making people break boards and jump out of planes, and literally. Okay. And it's like, you're here, you got to jump out of a plane. That's just it. Now I don't know, because I am so scared of heights. I'm not afraid to fly, but I'm definitely afraid to jump. So I probably wouldn't do that, but yes, I hear what you're saying, but we don't make anybody sing unless they want to.
I like it. And it's so fun. Like I've been to Cutco, to energy companies. It's funny. I consulted Just Energy back in 2020. But like a lot of just weird.
They need help, Sam. It was a good thing. They need help now.
Yeah.
Since the original founders, me and my brother, left, they got bought out by PIMCO for a reason.
Yeah, they were struggling, and then COVID hit, and they took the approach, no door to door, and so then they just went on pause, and I was like, geez. So it was like right before COVID, we were getting everything ramped up, and then all of a sudden they're like, we got to pause because we can't knock doors. And I was like, not everybody is taking that literally, but they're like, we're too big to get in trouble with COVID. Anyway, long story short,
yeah, we worked through COVID.
Yeah, that's what I was like. We worked through COVID. Like, I was like, just go sell. And I got so much hate for that. People were like, you're killing people. I'm like, I'm not killing people. This is a joke. Anyway, so long story short, we kind of got to wrap. But one tip, and just like if you were to be, you're back to 1970s old Tim, and you were to rewind and give that guy advice, now you've had decades of just business and sales world and training. What would you tell young first year version of Tim, and what advice would you give him?
Well, I already sort of touched on that. Sam. I mean, I would have role modeled or watched other top people more, okay? Rather than letting my ego get in the way. No, I'm going to beat this person, or I am beating this person, or I'm better than this person. I don't need to role model off them, because the 2 times that I role modeled off of people that were really good salespeople, granted, I probably would have outsold them, but maybe just because my work habits were better, maybe their pitch was better than mine. And ultimately, when I did, my income jumped up so fast just from role modeling someone and learning, new techniques or styles that I incorporated right away, that I was missing. Okay. And it could have been an attitude. It could have been the words themselves. It could have been any of these things. It could have been, hey, I was so afraid to work on Sundays. And, because I grew up in a family that went to church. And it's like, you don't work Sundays. So I had it in my mind, you can't work Sundays. And this guy I'm working with, him and I were we were the 2 top salespeople in this company for a long time. And we were very neck and neck. And he goes, let's go out to work today on a Sunday. And we were in the middle of a contest, and I could have used the sales, but I was convinced you couldn't sell on a Sunday. So I said, well, I'll go, but we're not going to be able to write anything, because it's Sunday. Okay. So all the way to there, we were in Brandon, Manitoba, and we were driving down to Souris, a little town south of there. And all the way there, I'm telling his name was Kim. And I'm telling Kim, I said, like, it's not. So anyway, we get out of the car, park the car. He goes his way, I go my way. It's probably 3 in the afternoon, 2 in the afternoon. And we'll meet back at 8, 9 o'clock. Okay. So I go out, I do a couple pitches. My body language energy level obviously isn't very good because I've already got it in my mind. I've been building objections in my own mind, which is the worst form of objections. I have a whole section on handling objections. And obviously the toughest objection is the one that you build in your own mind. So I had been building in my own mind, you can't sell on Sunday. So I did a couple pitches, didn't close anything. I was getting out of the car. I could hardly wait to go back to the car early because I figured Kim would be there and I could say, I told you so. So I'm waiting around for an hour, no Kim. Waiting around for 2 hours, no Kim. It's starting to get dark. Okay. So I start going to look for Kim, and I walk around and I see this light, and he's in the basement with this couple, and he's got the contract out and he's writing them up. And it's like, he gets out, he's got, 3 or 4 contracts. And it's like, okay, Tim, you were wrong. Okay. I built objections my own. 2 years later. Yeah, 2 years later, I set a personal commission record on a Sunday, for a day. I mean,
and what's so funny, like, I never thought, I went through that same thing, but in my own world. The last 8 years I've been doing coaching. And I went to a seminar, and the guy challenged me because my biggest day was 100 grand. It's like, I made 100 grand in a day. Like, that's like a big deal for me. And then he's like, how do you just make $1 million in a day? And I was like, there's no way. You know what I mean? And like, and then I just watched him do it and show other people how to do it, and then show me the testimonials. And I was like, maybe I could do that. Well, I just got back from Alex Hormozi's, and then I've done that. And now I go to Alex Hormozi's event where he just did $100 million in a day. And I was there yesterday and the day before because he just broke. What if you could do 100 million in a day? And I'm like, that's crazy. And he did it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I think the problem is like everyone, whether you're a business owner, you're a manager, you're a rep, like it's not just like the sales words that you use. It's like, who is in 2 steps ahead of where you are? And how do you like uberly intensively study what they're doing different? You know what I mean? And read all their books if they don't have books and they're just a guy in your office, literally have them record all your stuff and like dissect it all, throw it in GPT and analyze it in comparison to what you say. You know what I mean? Like I'm telling you, like people don't obsess enough over saying, how do I get better? And I love that advice. And it's the ego is the enemy to great, right? And anyway, Tim, I'm stoked to have you out there this month. I'm stoked to get to know you in person, and just, it sounds like you have a wealth of history, knowledge, give back, heart, and have helped thousands in our industry. And so to be able to share the stage with you is going to be an honor. and appreciate you jumping on this podcast. So for everyone listening, guys, go grab your ticket right now and make sure you come up to Canada. It's going to be epic. And make sure to go hit up Tim on Instagram or find his website, salessuperstar.com. And we'll
Yeah,
see you
not
guys
Instagram, Sam. Sam, I have no.
wherever.
I am not on Instagram. I don't have time, honestly. I've got 5 or 6 active businesses. I've never had time for social media. One of the biggest great things is when I was knocking up until, let's say, 88, that there was no internet, and my phone, I had a cell phone, it was left in the car. I mean, the last thing I want when I'm out knocking, closing a deal is getting a text from, or something from somebody, my wife, or, let's do this, let's do that. I don't want to be distracted. I mean, the distraction of social media to me, and I understand that in business, in my businesses, I've never used it. Our businesses do it. I personally don't use. I know I'm an absolute dinosaur, and am probably the only person that doesn't use it. But
I agree 100%. I think distraction is one of the biggest problems that we see in our space. 100%.
Distraction. So anybody can message me through salessuperstar.com. There's an info in there. It'll get rerouted to me at some point in time if you mention my name. And ultimately, I look forward to seeing you, Sam, and everybody at D2D Canada.
I'm excited. Okay, we'll see you guys. Thanks, Tim.
Take care.